Well, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with the Pastor. We're looking at the book of Acts. We've had Paul arrested in Jerusalem. There was a plot to kill him there in Jerusalem, and so the Roman governor had him sent to Caesarea. He has been in Caesarea for 2 years. He was put on trial by Felix, the governor Felix. Felix really didn't find anything wrong with him, but in order to be able to please the Jews, he kept Paul in jail there for 2 years, and then he gets replaced by a guy by the name of Festus. And so now Paul is going to become Festus's problem. And the reason for that is he's being held in a jail right there at the palace. And you can see a picture of where they think Paul was held there, and around the palace grounds there was a jail there. So now he's going to be Festus' problem. So it says 3 days after arriving in the province, Caesar went up from Caesarea to Jerusalem. Now he literally would go up. There's the coastal plains, and then you go up a mountain to go to Jerusalem, where the chief priests and Jewish leaders appeared before him and presented the charges against Paul. They urgently requested Festus as a favor to them to have Paul transferred to Jerusalem, for they were preparing an ambush to kill him along the way. Now, here's the deal. It's been 2 years, and they're still desiring to have an ambush to kill Paul. The chief priests and all of them are in on this. They want Paul dead, and so they're asking that he be transferred to Jerusalem, and they wanted to kill him on the way. But Festus answers, Paul is being held at Caesarea, and I myself am going there soon. Let some of your leaders come with me and press charges against the man there if he has done anything wrong. He says, no, my office, where I stays in Caesarea, that's where he is. That's where you can come be a part of that. Again, just blows my mind how they complain about Paul breaking the Torah, yet they're going to break one of the great commandments, thou shalt not murder. But anyway, verse 6, it says, after spending 8 or 10 days with him, he went down to Caesarea, and the next day he convened the court in order that Paul be brought before him. When Paul appeared, the Jews who had come down from Jerusalem stood around him, bringing many serious charges against him, which they could not prove. The reason they couldn't prove them was he didn't do them. And then Acts 25, verse 8, it says, then Paul made his defense. I've done nothing wrong against the law of the Jews or against the temple or against Caesar. Festus, wishing to do the Jews a favor, said to Paul, are you willing to go up to Jerusalem and stand trial before me there on these charges? Paul answered, I am now standing before Caesar's court, where I ought to be tried. I have not done anything wrong to the Jews, as you yourself know very well. If, however, I am guilty of doing anything deserving death, I do not refuse to die. But if the charges brought against me by these Jews are not true, no one has the right to hand me over to them. And then he does something very interesting. He says, I appeal to Caesar. After Festus had conferred with his council, he declared, you have appealed to Caesar you will go. It's quite evident that the Jews aren't going to let this go. They want Paul to come back to Jerusalem. They want to have him killed along the way. And so Paul figures out their strategy, so he ups them one. He says, I appeal to Caesar. Every Roman citizen, of which Paul was, had a right to appeal to Caesar, to have his case heard before the court of Caesar. And he appealed to that court. So he says, you appeal to a higher court, that's the court you're going to go to. And so he's going to send Paul to Rome. Now he's going to get a chance to also go before King Agrippa. We'll talk about King Agrippa and his sister tomorrow. And it's quite an exciting story. But again, just how I think we all have to be careful. If you ask the chief priests and all those that were designed to kill Paul, Do you keep the Bible? Is what you say true? Is what you say do? Yes. And yet they were wanting to probably commit one of the worst crimes in the Old Testament, in the Torah. And they wanted to commit murder. I think we have to be careful that sometimes we don't justify our own sins and look at the sins of others. Well, tomorrow we'll see Paul before the King Agrippa and his sister, and that's kind of an interesting tale in and of itself. We'll talk about that tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye now.